there's a pretty obvious problem with the concept of traveling back in time to change history. Stick with me, Seth. You have no idea where I'm going here, and I understand that. I saved this for the open. If you were to go back in time, your options would be either, I assume, make an impact on the future that then the future never finds out about, kill baby Hitler or whatever. Maybe there were lots of Batman-like time-traveling vigilantes who have gone back and have made the world better while moving back in time. We wouldn't know that, though. Or you go back in time and you try to just nudge the path of history ever so slightly where the changes that you've authored are imperceptible. Seth, I think I have found a time traveler who at least attempts to be pulling this world back from the brink for at least one more day. Are you familiar with Rob Thompson?
I am not.
He's the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. I saw this tweet today from Lachlan March of the Philly Inquirer. Nick Castellanos is out of the lineup today because of a, quote, inappropriate comment, unquote, he made after being removed in last night's game, Rob Thompson said. Here's my theory, Seth. When Nick Castellanos steps up to the plate, bad things happen. We know this. We have dozens of instances of deep drives to left center as something in the world is collapsing around us. I think Philadelphia Phillies manager Rob Thompson has saved us from some sort of, maybe not national, maybe not international, maybe intergalactic crisis by making sure that no matter what happens tonight, Nick Castellanos will not be in the batter's box to send us into that alternate timeline. Your thoughts?
I, for one, thank him for his service because there's no way you're wrong about this. The question I would have for the people that are coming back from the future to, save us and make the world a better place. This is the best you could do? Really? This...
I have very similar notes, Seth, but this is the universe you have. Only 2/3 of us here on this edition of Only Weird Games. Nate Taylor will be back on Thursday. I won't be. I'll be taking a brief step into a brief period of being a Florida man. So next Tuesday, even more hair, probably a sunburn, and whatever else happens in the summers of Florida. But right now, it's myself and Seth here with you to talk about a little bit of news from the Chiefs today, and we're going to take a bunch of questions. Got a handful of those across the socials. If you want to add a few more in the chat, you're welcome to. We got a pretty good backlog here, and then you can save all your tennis questions for Thursday when Nate returns. Seth, how you doing? I see you fiddling around. Are you trying to remember that the name of the lead singer from Matchbox 20 is Rob Thomas? Because that's what I was Googling while the intro played.
I'm not. I am looking up the weather from Florida, where you will be going.
Yeah, it's almost exactly the same as it is here right now.
Oh, is it? You know what?
And it is muggy and wet and hot.
You're going to be getting light rain, though, and this might be the time of year where you get some of that lovely kind of warm rain.
Yeah,
which is not a terrible experience. I had never in my life experienced that being from where I'm from.
Yeah.
And the first time Jazz and I went to Florida and it started to rain and we got caught outside a little bit and we were like, oh man. And then it started to rain. And I was like, why is the water warm?
Yeah.
And I was like, this is lovely. Like, it's a lovely experience. So I'm excited for you to be the Florida man. Just make sure you go to a Publix and get a chicken sandwich for me.
Yep, that is in the plan. It'll be for you, metaphorically speaking. I'll eat it, but I will do that for you.
Have you had their hot honey chicken ever?
I don't think I have.
Oh, I've only had it like 2 or 3 times. And then they didn't have it other times. And
What did you have for the next meal?
Probably more hot honey chicken.
If you had it, you had it 2 or 3 times in one sitting. Look, if it was that funny, you would have got it. I understand. That's on me.
That's a terrible way to gauge whether your jokes are funny. Now that I've turned 40, now it's like it's more like if I get it, you're like, oh, was that a little too on the nose? Was that?
I'd be lying if I said that wasn't something I've experienced before, but I'm not going to hold you to that standard every time.
Yeah.
You know what I think when I look at Trey Smith out there on the practice field at One Arrowhead Drive?
Man, I wish I was more like Seth.
I say, look how far we've come. That was the one Matchbox 20 song I was trying to remember the name of for the last 10 minutes as well. A lot of Googling in the intro today. Does not mean the intro was better, either more informed or funnier, but that's never stopped us before. Trey Smith was out there today, Seth. I don't know what the expectations were from you, but mandatory minicamp is up and Adam 3 days at Arrowhead. Today was the first. Everybody you expect to be there was there. Matt Derrick said that only UDFA tight end Trey Watson was absent. He'd been dinged up previously. So everybody healthy, everybody out there, and a few things from pressers that we can get to. Very, very lightly interesting for June. Maybe not a lot more beyond that. But Trey Smith being out there matters. That is an interesting little next step in this contract conversation that we assume he and the Chiefs are having right now. He has signed his franchise tag, so he's under contract for 1 year, and I think it's $23.4 million right there in that $23 million range. He was out there. He's not doing a no-sign holdout. He's not getting fined or anything. He was there. Quick vibe check for you, Seth. Does that move the needle for you, or were you just expecting to see him join the team today?
Hearing that he's there makes me want to hang on every word you say, Josh. The thing about Trey Smith is the way he plays football.
Seamus says Josh is going to push it around.
I was just going to say that. He wants to push people around.
Really good. If you sing it, you can also. What does Trey Smith? They're not wearing pads out there at mini camps yet, Seth. But what does Trey Smith really excel at?
He excels at pushing you around.
You didn't. It's just push, and you didn't sing it.
But like when I think about how far we've come, and the way that he can just hang with everyone that's out there, it makes me overjoyed.
Anita is also on the Matchbox train. A couple things about my hair today. Thanks, everybody. Really, I haven't had a haircut in 6 months. Really appreciate getting gassed up here. Again, Florida man's going to be a test for this, but please do keep complimenting my hair. Go ahead, Seth.
Yeah, I can't help but notice there's a distinct lack of compliments of my hair, but that's probably not a thread I really want to pull at.
It's a pretty short thread to pull.
Nice. And rapidly thinning. So the thing with Trey Smith being there, there's the biggest thing that shows to me is trust. He trusts that if he turns his ankle, he's not going to get blown up. Right. He trusts. I'm done with the Matchbox 20 stuff. So everyone.
Yeah, me too. I'm closing the tab. I'm closing the tab. Rob Thomas songs. I'm closing the public chat right now. Yep. You all feel free to keep playing. I can't look at them anymore.
Yeah, no, yeah. I rapidly realized I'm not built for this.
No.
So there's an amount of trust that's shown there in terms of being there, because mandatory minicamp is like, Now, one thing for him is because he's already signed the franchise tag, they could fine him if he didn't show up. Mm-hmm. But even him signing the franchise tag, it's a demonstration of trust. It's like, hey, we know we're going to get this done. Now, do I think the negotiations are going to be easy? I don't, just because guard money's a lot of money. The franchise tag's big. He was on such a cheap deal that like signing him last year, it would have been tough to do the whole like ballooning contract thing. So I get that. It's just a tough situation. But I think it's a good sign. It means he's there. I'm sure his agent's there. And I'm sure this is an opportunity to get everyone in the room at one time and be like, hey, wouldn't it be awesome if today we cut you a check for $25 million or whatever, which I applaud the chutzpah of players that are willing to like sit there and wait it out. Because like if someone came to me and was like, hey, I know that like if we haggled for a couple months, you could probably get an extra $1 or $2 here. But what if you signed this today and you see that really rich guy over there? That guy? Yeah. He's talking to people about a stadium or something. That guy will cut you a check for $20 million today, and it'll go through. It won't bounce because there's all kinds of people that would probably write me a $25 million check.
Sure, yeah, I'd do it. Yeah.
I
might be fraud. I might not, but for fun.
Well, your faith is only as good as the object of that faith, Josh. And so I just like his ability to hold still on that. We could circle back to that at some point.
No, it's okay. I'm gonna let you have that one.
I really wish we wouldn't. The ability to hold out in that situation, not that he's literally holding out, but to not just be like, yes, I just want all this money so I can go buy a house with cash and just start throwing paper airplane $100 bills at people. I probably should never be rich, on a side note. But like that's a good thing that he's able to do that. It's a good thing they're all in the room. He's working. Everyone's present. I mean, it's not like Travis Kelce could handle being fined. It's cool seeing that core 3. Well, there's the core 28 or whatever they are. Is it the core? Well, no, because even like the core has like Creed Humphrey and Trent McDuffie in it now.
Well, I was going to say there's the interior core, but the interior core is actually just Creed Humphrey and then maybe Trey Smith if they extend Trey Smith.
Right.
So, there's the inner sanctum of the core baseball team that they have.
We've got the holy of holies.
Yeah, that's right.
That's so yeah, if you try to talk to Patrick Mahomes more than once a year, you die. Actually, that's the analogy gets weaker as we go. It might actually be getting stronger. So having all 3 of those guys there, and they always say this every year, working hard in ridiculous heat and humidity, that's a cool thing. I mean, the quarterback almost always goes to these things, but like for Kelce and Jones to be out there, it's got to be kind of miserable. And it's a really cool example for everyone else. It's cool that everyone's there. It's cool. Like Rashee Rice, as far as I can tell, has no limitations. All of these things are great, but I was a little surprised to see Trey Smith there. And I think that's a really good sign because you also agents, in my opinion, I'm trying to think of from the point of view of like an advocate here or representing someone. Mm-hmm. I low key as an agent would not really want my client around his teammates. Yes, if you're around your teammates and they all understand it's business, believe me, other players understand this way more than fans do. They're like, nope, handle your business, do whatever. Even if players miss games, for the most part, other players are like, look, it's a business, this is the job. But when you're around your teammates, it's like, oh man, it sure would be like, especially Creed, right? Mm-hmm. If I were his agent, I'd be like, Trey, do not talk to Creed. Don't you talk to him. Never, you're not allowed to say the words, wouldn't it be great if, or imagine in the next.
No hypotheticals.
Nothing like that with Creed, because Creed's got his extension. Be like, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if we retired here together? Wouldn't it be cool if like for the next 5 years it was you and me, buddy? And if you'd only be human to be like, yeah, that does sound pretty cool, man. So I hope that is the nudge they need because I really don't want him playing on the franchise tag this year. I would really love for this to just be done. I hate talking contract stuff, but at least it's not like it was when it was Chris Jones, and nobody knows that better than Chris Jones.
Yeah, Chris Jones did. He didn't give us a whole lot of content today, things to talk about, but Chris Jones did have a couple good lines about Trey Smith and saying Trey Smith shouldn't take any advice from him, and I would say Trey Smith shouldn't take any advice from Chris Jones' agents either. Even more importantly, Chris Jones comported himself okay throughout that period. I have 2 bigger issues with 2 smaller people, but here's where I'm at on Trey Smith. And Seth, you saying just then, I really hope he doesn't play this year on the franchise tag. I'm going to make you extrapolate on that a little bit because here's my like little bit of gray area on this. I think by and large, I think the deal's going to get done. It's going to be for a bleep ton of money. And I think I'm probably going to look at the contract and go, that's a lot of money for a guard. You just moved on from Joe Tooney. Now Kingsley's playing left guard. It's a young player. You think an ascending player. I'm not sure he's a top 10 guard right now, so this is a maybe a difficult bit of math to do, but it wouldn't be my most frustrated. Wouldn't be the most frustrated I'd been at a Chiefs contract to keep one of their own players this offseason, right? That's kind of what I'm expecting to land with. That's kind of how I'm expecting this to go. The interesting thing about this negotiation now, and this is more of an observation of what I believe to be a fact than it is an outright criticism. God, I sound like Seth.
You should be so lucky.
I think I wanted to make a call back to something we were talking about pre-show, and I realized it's not a bad thing. It just would take way too much context. We'd never get back to talking about Trey Smith.
So pretty much a normal show.
Yeah. I think the Chiefs have virtually no leverage in this negotiation, but I don't necessarily think that they are over leveraged, where it's like, I don't think the Chiefs are in an absolute losing foothold here, but I think Trey Smith can kind of just keep saying, well, that's not enough money. I'm not going to sign for that. If you don't pay me more than that, I'll play this year for $23 million and we'll do this dance again next year, or I'll hit free agency. The worst case scenario for Trey Smith outside of injury, which is always the worst case scenario in any sport by and large, right? If Trey Smith does not get the number from the Chiefs, goes through this entire season on the franchise tag, and then makes his generational wealth next offseason, he has a chance to make a Pro Bowl or an All-Pro team, be in front of Patrick Mahomes again, next to Creed Humphrey, get back to a Super Bowl, and he's going to just keep making money. Those numbers are going to keep getting higher. I think the Chiefs have told you they don't want that to happen, because I think if the Chiefs were comfortable with that as an option, a way this could go, I don't think they trade Joe Thuney for not a whole lot of return to the Bears. I think if you were planning on going the franchise tag route, you probably give Thuney the extension that the Bears gave him, and you say, hey, we got Thuney extended, and we shoved some of that money down, and we're gonna pay Trey Smith $23 million, and next year he'll hit the market or whatever they're gonna do. I think most likely they get the deal done. It's a lot of money, and you say, man, I hope that's good enough for I hope that's good value for the player that he is. Mm-hmm. With Chris Jones's entire deal, that was more tumultuous and felt at times like maybe it wasn't going to get figured out and all of that. I think Chris Jones, not the Katz brothers, I think Chris Jones probably, air quotes here, won that negotiation. I think the Chiefs had to bend a little further than they wanted to. Yes. And Jones, by being an elite football player at the center of this defense, got what he wanted, and so far has continued to be an elite player at the center of this defense. So even if Chris Jones won in the margins of the negotiation of getting what he wanted after sitting out a game and all of that, the Chiefs have won by having Chris Jones. Right. The final millions of dollars in those guarantees or whatever for Chris Jones will never matter to us if he continues to be Chris Jones. Yep. If Trey Smith gets everything that he wants in this deal, he's got to be an ascending player. I think that's something that Brett Veach has probably said about him in these conversations. I'm not quoting him on it. I don't know. But the idea of like the ascending player, you want to get him on the upswing still. Yep. You've got to be betting on that for Trey Smith. And then if he's going to be a top 5 paid guard, I think you have to be comfortable demanding top 10 guard play out of him. And he's a very good player. But I think you've said in over the last couple of years, top 5, top 10 is not quite what you're seeing when you look at Trey Smith these last couple of seasons. Is that fair?
Yes, although I mean he was certainly approaching, if not in top 10 last year. It just the trouble was always the idea of choosing between him and Joe Thuney, right, who is a top 2 pass protector, right? And is Trey Smith a better run blocker? Absolutely. And he's a guy you can actually build your run blocking scheme around. And so that adds to value a little more than just really good run blocker. Like good enough that you can build a run game around him. That's another tier up, right? Mm-hmm. I'll take what you said there, and I'll give you a different kind of potential worst case scenario for Trey Smith outside of injury. If he plays this year and isn't better than last year, now, and he was very, very good last year, mm-hmm, so if he plays at the same level or a little worse, then you're another year in, you don't get that ascending player bump.
I hear that, but we know the Chiefs don't think that's going to happen, because if they thought that was a real concern, this would not be their guard situation. You know what? If the Chiefs thought there was a chance of that, they wouldn't be negotiating long-term right now, and they probably wouldn't have traded Joe Thuney, right? Or even if you say we're moving Thuney while he still has some value at an older age, if you're concerned about Trey Smith getting like exposed next year, you'd better not give him however many tens of millions guaranteed that he's probably going to get in the next month.
Oh, 1,000,000%. I was just adding to the potential risk because I agree Smith holds the majority of the cards here. The things that players risk is a down year, which happens, or an injury. Those are the two big things because it's a lot about timing. Charles Omenihu objectively probably deserved more money than he got on the market.
Sure.
That's just how it goes. When you hit the market, just matters so stinking much. And that's, I mean, you always want to get there when your value's at its highest. Now, because Smith has been better in pass protection every year, he was fine there in year 1 with some weaknesses. He was solid there in year 2. He was good in year 3. He was quite good last year. If he takes another step up to where it's like, oh yeah, now he's a top 7, top 6 pass protecting guard in addition to what he does. Well, now you're talking a top 5 guard, give or take, and you're like, okay. So the problem with him is also, just on another note, guards are getting paid obscene money, but I keep waiting for that bubble to pop. And I'm not sure it's going to, right? Because contracts keep going up. It's just more, it's just, those are the risks you take as a player. But that's the only place that the Chiefs really hold the cards is the injury concern. And that's where teams, that's the big, in addition to the franchise tag, that's the big card teams always hold because Clark Hunt isn't scared that his wallet might break, right? Whereas Trey Smith has to worry that, well, if I don't sign this contract that has $50 million in guarantees and then I have something terrible happen, and hopefully it doesn't, you don't see as many career-ending injuries as you used to.
True.
And that's great. Yeah. But that's always the thing in the back of your head that you're going to end up that you're just going to end up considering. One thing, just to be really clear, Stephen Holman asked, would Trey have the reputation he has if he weren't on the Chiefs? I think he would. Yes. He is such a tone setter that matters a great deal. It's hard to find a guy who pancakes as often as Trey does and is also really consistent overall. That's a hard combination to find. So I think he gets a bit of a bump for that. That matters more to other people than it matters to me. Creed is a better player, but he doesn't have as many pancakes.
Not including Trey Smith's franchise tag right now, the second highest, the top 2 guard contracts by average per year are Landon Dickerson and Chris Lindstrom. I don't think 10 people in the chat right now could point at Chris Lindstrom in a lineup unless they were all built like an NFL guard. And I bet half of people watching or listening right now don't know what team he plays for.
Yep.
And an Atlanta Falcon, by the way.
Yeah.
So if Trey Smith was an Atlanta Falcon, he might still be getting that money, but the profile would be different.
That's a really solid point. And you know what? That's the market, baby.
Right.
Some guys are going to get paid more because they come from the Kansas City Chiefs.
The Chiefs have tried to take advantage of that in recent years. They have taken advantage of that in recent years. Yep. You might not get the market resetter, but you can come here and then play on national TV 15 times a year, it seems like.
Yep. No, the late great Therese Paylor called that the tax for success.
Yeah.
He said you just start getting the brain drain, and then you start losing guys. They get paid a little bit more because teams, especially contenders, are willing to pay. So, like, let's say Jalen Watson hits free agency after this year, which he's almost certainly going to. So prepare yourself for that. One thing that his agent is going to be able to say, some team's going to call him and say, hey, you guys are a contender. Boy, it sure would be great to have someone that has played more big games than everyone else on your roster combined. Because that's all Jalen Watson has done is play in Super Bowls and AFC championships. Like, that's it. Like, it's just huge game after huge game after huge game. That matters. And that's the price you pay, is that teams want guys that don't shrink from the moment. That's a big deal.
It's interesting. I don't want to be the hater on a Trey Smith contract run. We covered that with the Nick Bolton thing. You know, this is it really just honestly, I was more confused and a bit frustrated with some of the steps on that defensively with Bolton than I even am on the Smith conversation. I just think it's a very interesting place the Chiefs are in, where they had to play their hand on Joe Thuney, and they had to play their hand of the draft and make all of these moves and sign Creed last year to now be in this spot where Trey Smith is kind of the next the next Jenga block that's got to get pulled before you can figure out what's going on with Trent McDuffie, maybe George Karlaftis. So I find that interesting. I'm not as interested by the things from pressers today. We have a ton of questions that I want to get to. So, Seth, let's take our timeout now. I'm going to come back and I'm going to give you rapid fire one thing from everybody who spoke at the podium today, and then we're going to get through some questions. I will say many of them are football related. Some of them aren't.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Folks, it's playoff time, and if you're still just watching the games, then you're missing out. With Pick 6 from DraftKings, you can turn your hoops knowledge into real cash. Just make your picks, track your score, and if you hit all 6, you're looking at bigger payouts than Prize Picks flex plays. Nobody's dropping better payouts than Pick 6. Hit 6 picks, and that's 25 times your cash. And if you beat your competition, you could be looking at a 500 times bag in your pocket. And right now, new customers can get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry. Here's what you got to do. The playoffs are on, so why not take a shot at making a little money while you're watching? Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN to play $5 and get $50 in bonus picks. Better payouts, bigger wins, only on Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdictions. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, here's a couple of things from the pressers today. Seth, we heard from Chris Jones, Hollywood Brown, Josh Simmons, and Jerry Tillery. Who do you want to hear from first?
Hollywood Brown, they going to let him run a dig at some point this year?
He said no, actually. They asked him that directly, and he said, Andy Reid said I'm not allowed. No, that didn't happen. Hollywood might have been the most interesting of the group, which is going to be damning with faint praise. It's not their job to be interesting. It's just July, and the reporters ask good questions. We didn't get great answers. It just happens. It's how it goes.
Yeah. It's literally our job to be interesting, and we often aren't.
Boy,
so I can't judge them too much.
And Andy Reid is also not asking me to run a dig. Hollywood mostly talked about his health and training, and what I think is somewhat interesting is he knows why he wasn't playing football last year. He got hurt. It was a freak incident. It must have been incredibly frustrating to be out that entire year. And he did also acknowledge, quote, I wasn't my best self for sure at the end of the season. But he continued to talk over and over about how grateful he was about the chance to come back and to try to help and to try to be a part of it. It seemed evident to me. I'll come back around on the health thing. It seemed evident to me that he worked really hard to get back on the field at the end of the year, wanted to contribute to a Super Bowl push, did, but not as much as he wanted to or could have been expected to if fully healthy. The not his best self thing to me read I was trying to get on a football field as fast as possible. And by the time I got to an NFL football field, I hadn't played NFL football games like everyone else who had played 10 to 15 or whatever, pending their own health. So I thought that was all interesting. It seems like he's in a good headspace and he just wants to be healthy. I've mentioned this a few times. I think sometimes in sports, this is a Sammy Watkins, Adalberto Mondesi lesson. Sometimes in sports, he was a shortstop for the Royals briefly. Sometimes in sports we make health a character trait or a virtue of some sort, because it is a good thing as a teammate and a player and an employee of the sports team to be available and to be able to tough it out. And the fact that Patrick Mahomes has Gumby ankles and Iron Man toughness makes him even more valuable and even more special and all of that. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors when Kadarius Toney is like kind of practicing but kind of not. There's a very reasonable conversation throughout all of sports about toughness and injury and all that stuff. Hollywood Brown got tackled and had his clavicle pop out of its joint towards his squishy bits. That's not, he didn't have a nagging hammy that kept him out for 12 games, right? So I don't think that's a fair thing to levy against Hollywood, and I think it's good to know where his head's at.
Yeah, you don't want the bony parts touching the squishy parts.
Yeah, that's what I learned in medical school. 8 years.
I mean, it's good advice. It's yeah, we don't want the bony parts to break in half either.
Ooh, can I do your job? Don't do the illegal things in the spots where they're not.
Yeah, no, it actually is pretty simple. I said one time to someone who asked me, like, how does anyone, avoid, it was like coming afoul of law enforcement. And I was like, it's shockingly easy in some places. Like, I'm not going to speak for everywhere in the world or everyone in the world, but I know in my neck of the woods, it's not that hard to not get charged. Now, to be fair, this was a felony second-degree assault. So it's like, well, you if you don't point a gun at anyone.
Great start. Yeah, such a good start.
I mean, but anyway, I think that's interesting to hear that Hollywood said that. It makes me excited for his contributions this year. The Chiefs are definitely pushing the trio thing this year more so. Like last year, you saw them like they were really excited about Hollywood Brown, but they kind of almost slow played Rasheed a little bit. And now the cat's out of the bag. He was leading the NFL in catches when he got hurt. That dude was on his way. His
offseason, I think, also probably played a little bit of a part in that. Like
that's a solid
honestly, not just like harder to put him front and center all the time.
They didn't really want to put it in fifth gear, is what you're saying.
That's not what I said.
They really felt like they needed to hit the brakes, if you know what I mean.
Not what I said.
Didn't. No, okay. Sorry.
None of those things. I didn't say any of those things. Those things you said.
Right.
Jones, Simmons, or Tillery? Give me the next one. You had your chance.
Jones.
He says Kingsley Suamataia at guard. Quote, he's coming along.
Okay.
And that Trey Smith shouldn't take advice from him. Simmons or Tillery?
Trey Smith shouldn't take advice from him. That was a really funny line. We're not going to know anything about Kingsley Suamata'ia's development at guard until they put pads on.
Yep, that's what that was. It was kind of funny to listen to him try to be like he didn't want to say that he hadn't seen anything from him, but he just talked for a little bit. He said he's coming along. Like, yeah, that's what he should say when again, you're lining up across from each other, not in pads. Simmons or Tillery?
Simmons.
He said this timeline is pretty much what he was planning on in terms of the recovery, getting back from the knee. He would not commit to being ready for training camp, just kind of like we're letting them handle it sort of thing. But it sure looks promising. I mean, it seems like he's been a full participant throughout all of this offseason stuff, or, at least the most recent offseason stuff.
Right.
Again, not hitting yet or anything like that, but hard not to be optimistic about his availability for camp at this point.
That's awesome.
Who do you want from next?
I think it's just Tillery is left, right?
And he's working on Spanish.
Oh,
very interesting. He seems like a really lovely guy. His presser the vibes were good. It just I'm excited to hear more from him. He didn't volunteer a ton, but he speaks Japanese. He's working on Spanish and English. He speaks very well. So two fluent ones. You got to give credit for the OG. When you're going through, he's bilingual, working on try.
Yeah, it wouldn't be impressive if he only spoke Spanish or Japanese. A lot of people do that.
You probably would have heard if he would have done his entire press conference in Japanese, and that probably would have been a bigger story. Yeah. But I'm not that good at this language, and it seems like he's really good at two of them and pretty good at a third.
That is impressive. We are supposed to be going to Japan for my second oldest son's senior trip because, unbeknownst to me, that's what we do for our kids when they graduate high school. Like I'm like a private attorney or something. So
that was a dangerous thing. You should have taken the first one to the lake or something.
Look, I will never stop dreaming about the food we ate in Italy, but I'm also like, oh, we're doing this every year now. Like this is not every year, but I got a lot of kids.
Got a lot of kids.
And so Jazz has been doing some Japanese learning. And I got to tell you.
Do you consider doing some English learning?
I have not. Fortunately, none of my jobs rely on my ability to speak and communicate clearly. But like when we were going to Italy, she learned a few phrases and that kind of stuff. And I can't do it. I cannot do it. I have many blind spots. Like if I were being, that's one great thing about, when you hit 40, I'm excited for you. And so when I did 10 years ago there, I did the joke for you.
I was just saying, I got a long way to go.
You just like become so aware of your flaws and almost in a toxic way where you become so okay with them that it's almost not good because you're like, like I could work on that, but I'm pretty tired.
I got a lot going on. I got some responsibilities. I got things to do.
Yeah. So I'll work on it when I retire, something like that. But anyway, I'm lousy with languages, so that's awesome. And hopefully he does really well this year. We'll see.
Let's answer some questions.
Yes, I love answering questions. By the way, I love it. Like from not just from like you.
Why don't you go ahead and read us? Go ahead and read us your first one. I
don't have any.
Oh, so you love it when I read you questions and then you get to sit there and answer them.
Yeah, I love answers.
Okay.
I love it when someone else does all the work.
Well, good news, Seth! For the 450th consecutive show, I gotcha!
That's great news.
I will be out on Thursday.
Oh, crap.
I asked for questions on socials. I'm at JB Brisco, both on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can send them there. I posted them there. I'm on Threads too, but I keep forgetting about Threads. None of it's good. None of it makes me feel good to post anymore. It's all generally pretty bad out there. But it was good when I asked you for questions this morning. You guys came through. There were a bunch of them. Let's just rip through as many as we can here, Seth. And then when we get to the bottom of this list, the show's over. Or we get tired, whichever happens first.
Ooh, fun.
Starting with Michelle on Blue Sky, what's your favorite non-Super Bowl Chiefs season? I like this one, and I've given this enough thought to give two answers. If you need to ruminate, some of these I will not buy you time.
Okay.
The obvious easy one to me is 2018.
Yep.
Because in 2018, I think it's too obvious because you saw it, right? Like you felt it. Your team had the quarterback that you've never seen in your entire life. That's the easy one for me. I have a less obvious one as well, but what do you go?
The obvious one is 2018. All you need to do is go back and watch Patrick Mahomes 2018 highlights and go to the home opener against San Francisco where he almost took a sack.
We were there.
I was there.
I think about that play all the time. Somebody tweet out the highlight of, I'm interrupting your memory because I think about this so much. I forget we were there for this. Yeah. The pivot, little pirouette, run around. Oh God, He's 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Poof, Chris Conley. What the hell?
Yeah, and then I mean, there were so many great things, like listening to Therese just cackle in the press box was amazing. But like the announcer goes, "Are you kidding me?" And now, if he did that, yes, people would be like, "Oh man, that's Mahomes." But that's not even, I would say, arguably
SportsCenter number 9.
I don't even think it's number 9. I don't think it's top 20. Like, I don't think it's top 20 Patrick Mahomes plays.
Oh, no, I'm saying I think it's number 9 on SportsCenter that night of just all the things that happened. All right, Patrick Mahomes, he did it again. God, I'm watching it again now. This is electric, dude.
It is. It's electric stuff. And the thing is, we've been waiting for so long. We couldn't believe it. Like, we couldn't believe it that this was actually happening. I couldn't believe how right I'd been about Mahomes. I built a career off this, people. Like, before that, I was like, oh, yeah, I worked for SB Nation, and it was nice. People are like, oh, did you know that guy knew it was coming? I was like, yes. Yeah,
exactly like that.
I'm something of a quarterback guru myself. If it's not that one, I think for me, it'd have to be 03. Now, I understand I'm a little older than you.
Yep, I'm going to do a more recent one. So you
there is nothing, like, it is impossible to describe that offense to people. It's just the dominance. I just, like, Priest Holmes would get the ball, and it's like, who the crap is everyone? Like, where are the defenders? And like Willie Rolfe is like swallowing someone whole, and Will Shields is breaking some defender's back like he's Bane or something.
Yeah.
And it was so fun to watch. Jason Dunn just annihilating edges. It's like, he's just a tight end. I mean, it was just watching T-Rich just bury guys it was so much fun. And that 03 version had enough of Tony Gonzalez and fast Eddie Kennison that it made it explosive too. And just some of the highlights, go back and look up like Eddie Kennison highlights, because that man ran a real pretty go route, tracked the ball well. You got to if you're a deep threat, but just watch the pockets Trent Green is sitting in. He's just like hanging out, just like, man, I should probably throw this at some point. And it was just so much fun to watch. And that was the Dante Hall year as well.
Yeah, an absolute blast. I'm going to do one that I think some people are going to get angry at, and I'm going to remind you, it felt good when we were there. 2010.
That was going to be my other choice.
Matt Castle gave you a little cause for hope. You know, we've played the okey doke rope-a-dope on the quarterback thing for a while, and you go, okay, well, he's starting to bring it together here. Jamal Charles had almost 2,000 yards from scrimmage. Thomas Jones went over 1,000. Dwayne Bowe went over 1,000, had 15 touchdowns, and life was good. And then they lost a playoff game 30-7. It felt like 70-3, 30-7 with 0 targets to Dwayne Bowe and 10 total touches for Jamal Charles. I think 3 picks for Matt Castle. So it ended poorly, but the season I remember incredibly fondly.
Like, let me just remind people, and this is one of my favorite things. So every year, I write about like the most fun moments of the season. And one of the reasons I do it is because you forget all the fun little moments. Like, so many people, when I wrote about this year's and I wrote about Mahomes trucking that Niners safety, so many people were like, I forgot about that. And that's it. You know what memory you forgot about? Home opener, pouring rain in a renovated Arrowhead on Monday Night Football, and that stop of Phillip Rivers and the crowd losing its mind in a monsoon as Glenn Dorsey could barely walk off the field because he was so tired. That was incredible. The second time Jamal Charles touched the ball, maybe the first time, he went like 45 yards to the house. That was a fun year. And that was also like when you saw what happened with Charles down the stretch in 2009, you were like, well, that wasn't a fluke. Yeah. He's that great. Yeah. That was a fun year. Also, that was the year that made me realize I want to learn ball, because I defended Matt Castle incessantly all year as other people were like, this is not sustainable. Watch how he plays. I'm like, 27 touchdowns and only, 7 picks or 10 picks, whatever it was. And now I'm like, I think back and I'm like, oh, good God, no. But
I probably did more damage arguing on the internet than anybody ever before or after me.
Great.
I don't think you did. I think you're probably clear on that. From Sean Dies at the end on Blue Sky, do either of you think anyone at KCSN could gain 1 yard in a game? Do you want to go more in depth? Who and how badly would everyone else do? I think the obvious answer to this is that we would all die very quickly upon impact. But if I'm giving you a nice little run play, nice little inside run, and an NFL defensive line, theoretically, it's not your job to block anybody. Anybody get into the line of scrimmage, Seth?
I think the only one that's got a snowball's chance in Hades is Matty Lane, right? I mean,
why do you think he would live?
Get
a yard.
Well, it's helpful when you're, what is he, like 6'3", 230? Like,
that's not quite what I remember, but he's taller than you think.
But yeah, he's a big dude. And by the time we do this, he's going to be like 6'6", 270. But he's taller than you think. He's in really good shape. And if my understanding is correct, he did play college ball, which at least is something.
So did Kent Swanson.
Yeah. Well, but and so
that could have been either nitpicking the phrase played or the phrase college ball.
Yeah. And so I think. I don't think Matt could, and I think he'd probably be the first to say he couldn't. But I think he'd be the only one with a chance. I would probably get 3 steps after getting the ball handed to me. And here's the deal. You don't travel nearly as far in those 3 steps as you think you will, because what you're used to seeing is an NFL running back accelerating. And so think of the times where, like, the punter unexpectedly got the ball and just got obliterated by someone.
That's such a good point.
Now remember that punter would have been the best athlete probably on his college team.
Obviously not a punter, but the Chiefs posted some workout videos stuff, and then I go, and somebody's just throwing weight, and you go, oh, that's James Winchester.
Yeah,
like.
And I know people are saying this like with to be funny. If Carson Steele can get a yard, so can Tucker. No, Carson Steele would be the best athlete you've ever met. I don't know if anyone's like. I remember. So Jeff Boschee played for the Kansas Jayhawks for a while. He was from my hometown of Valley City, and because of that, he was this huge celebrity in Valley City. Hey, go Highliners. They came back one year to do like a Jeff Boschee day, and he brought back like 7 just absolute scrubs from Kansas who never played, and they played this, all-star team of people that were really good in high school and just obliterated them. If you think you could gain a yard in the pros, you have never played pickup ball with even a college athlete, like a legitimate college athlete. And then the jump, my understanding, based on the pros that I've asked, the jump from college to the pros is so much bigger than from high school to D1. It's just unfathomable, people.
We would all perish.
Yeah, we would perish.
For a loss of 3. I think is where I'm probably drawing that line. Even with the advantage being on your team's offensive line.
Yeah.
I could run, Seth. It's not their job in this fictional play I'm drawing up. Their job isn't to take care of all 3 linebackers who are all going to get to the hole before I do.
Yeah.
Despite not knowing where I'm going.
That's just it. You got to win the race to the hole. You got to know how to set up blockers. The only way, because everyone always asks if a regular guy could do it. Some guy that played running back in high school and was awesome at it, maybe could gain a yard if he was still in really good shape. But that's not your average human, right? Like that's not how that works.
From David Brown, could the Chiefs win 2 games with Gardner Minshew at quarterback if Mahomes were to miss 3 or 4 games with an injury?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it depends on the opponent, but there's nothing Andy Reid likes more than a curated game plan.
That's true. It's a good call.
And so, oh yeah, absolutely. That's one reason I like that they've got Minshew. Minshew's won multiple games on much worse rosters with much worse coaching. So yeah, absolutely.
That's a good way of framing it. I like that. From Christoph, how should Travis Kelce be utilized this year volume-wise, framed by his usage last year of 120-plus targets?
Less blocking. If he's actually lost 25 pounds, I mean, the dude was running around at 245, 250 at most last year. Less blocking. Let's just stop. Let him be a slot receiver and a boundary receiver his last year in the league.
I'm going to roll that one in here to this one from Will Weber. If you had to pick 2, one defense, one offense, underrated former Chiefs players from 2005 through 2018 to play for the Chiefs this season, who would they be? Generally thinking part-time starters or underappreciated majority of snaps guys. So no, Dwayne Bowe is not an option. Thank you, Will. When I read that question earlier, I was starting to think you already said his name once. I don't know. We might be able to get a little more juice in the offense, but I thought, having Jason Dunn on this roster sure would solve a couple of problems in the tight end room. Who do you like? Somebody on the offensive side, somebody on the defensive side who fits that category?
Oh man, and like the underrated part, that's kind of in the eye of the beholder.
You are the beholder, so you take that for what you will.
Yeah. I'm just I'm taking a look a little bit here. There's just trying to match up strength with strength is tough. When in doubt, honestly, my pick for this kind of thing is Hussein Abdullah. I need a sorry, Seth. I'm the young gun who's coming in, taking over the roster, and you're managing the time machine and the roster building. I need a brainy coverage first linebacker, and I need a little bit more juice at tight end to give Travis Kelce a break. Who am I getting here from that? I mean, Anthony Fasano would be a great pick at tight end. People forget, those first couple of years of the Andy Reid era, Fasano carried a pretty heavy load.
Travis Kelce, forget. You're right. I completely forgot.
Travis Kelce gives him a lot of credit. Fasano was part of that, hey, we're an adult franchise now. He came in, Alex Smith came in. It was like, okay, these are like professional, adult NFL players. Fasano, I think, would be a pretty good addition there.
He missed some games in 2013, but of the games he played in, Anthony Fasano played 84 and 70% of the Chiefs' offensive snaps. Yeah. I would have undershot that by a mile.
No, he definitely played a ton. I can't think off the top of my head, though, in terms of like kind of a brainy linebacker.
All right, Dan Sorensen it is.
Honestly.
Put Dan Sorensen in the box, I guess.
No,
that's what you want to do.
No, actually, you know who? For me, it would be peak Ron Parker. Give me a pure free safety.
That's fun. I like that. We've talked about the safety group a ton recently, obviously.
Yeah.
Sorry, I lost you entirely. I hit a wrong button and started opening software on this computer, and somewhere in there, I couldn't see or hear you. And that crashed, which is exciting. No, I don't need it to stay open. Closing is fine. And we're back. Hi, welcome to Only Weird Games. I'm Josh Brisco. Fantastic. Well, I hate that I interrupted that. From Chandler, discuss whether a hot dog is a sandwich since Albert Breer is too scared to. I've never asked Albert directly, but I'm guessing that's a mailbag problem that Chandler's having. I wish you the best. I lean towards it being, if you were going to put it like, kingdom, phylum, class or whatever, I think it's in the sandwich kingdom, but it's its own thing. And a burger is also its own thing. If you said, I really have a hankering for a sandwich and somebody brought you a burger or a hot dog, you'd be like, well, you don't really know me, huh? I did run this by Guy Fieri years ago, and I don't think he fully understood the question, but in my opinion, a hot dog is an American taco. It is a closed at the bottom, open at the top, filled with meat, usually a tomato product over the top, maybe even a little pickled vegetable. So I think a hot dog's an American taco, but I think it can be in the sandwich kingdom. Although I might put it in the taco kingdom, I do not think tacos are sandwiches.
And that's the key there. Unless you're defining a sandwich as bread with meat somehow in the middle of it, which if you do that, then a taco is a sandwich too. Yeah. And I mean,
so is a pig in a blanket.
Yeah, so is a pig in a blanket. So is a corn dog. So are various types of pastries. So no, it's not a sandwich. We're too broad. You know what we need? We need narrower definitions of things. Yeah. Because you know what? We just do. I was going to go down a road, change my mind, hit the brakes. We're good.
Always happy to hear that, even if I don't know what your GPS is pointing us towards. From Dirk, from Amateur Hour, his Dirkness, I saw you tweet about this, so I'm just lobbing this one up for you. Is it possible for a player in a team sport to be the best of all time if his team never wins a championship? The rabbit hole for me was being reminded that Barry Bonds never won a World Series, which seems impossible because the Giants ended up winning quite a bit after him, I guess. But where do you draw that line? Obviously, the Chiefs are well covered. I think this is a hockey question at heart.
Yeah, I think it's possible in some sports and not in others. I think basketball, when you've got, 5 guys on the court at one time, everyone plays offense and defense, and you play the vast majority of the minutes, I think then it's impossible. I think, how often they shift out in hockey? Like everyone plays so fast. It's like everyone only plays like a third of the time. It's insane. Crazy. I think in a sport like that, or a sport where it's like football, and that was the example I gave, Dan Marino is a better quarterback than a lot of guys that get put on the lists above him. He was awesome. Unbelievable. As a quarterback, you only control so much. It's the most important. You can't win it all without an elite quarterback generally, but just because you're an elite quarterback doesn't mean you'll win a Super Bowl even year in and year out, because you don't play defense, you don't play special teams, and it's a silly sport where the ball isn't around. So I think it's very sport dependent. I don't think basketball that's possible. And I think in football, in the theoretical, it's possible. But the problem is in the practical, because we don't live in a vacuum. You live in a world where Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady exist.
Right.
And how are you going to – do you have any idea how good a quarterback would have to be statistically and on film to win no Super Bowls and have people put them up there with a dude that won 7 and a guy that's already won 3? Like, he'd have to be putting up 6,000 yards a year.
It would be Patrick Mahomes trapped in 2018.
Yeah, just over and
just
over
forever.
And over. Yeah.
But it would always end with him losing to Tom Brady, and people saying this is why he's not going to ever be better than Brady.
Right.
But even
So
then-
I think in some sports it's possible. In other sports, not so much. Because the greatest of all time, you're almost always going to be getting compared to guys that have multiple rings.
Back to the illustrious Matty Lane here. He said, I want you guys to name 3 Olympic sports you are confident you could do better than each other or everyone at KCSN. I have given this some thought. I have Googled Olympic sports, as I believe you are currently doing. So I will go first. I will break down. Here's my own athletic profile. Also, we're pretty close to this on the who could get a yard thing. But Charles Goldman also asked, if you and Seth were athletic enough, no shade, to play NFL football, what positions would you guys play? My favorite part about Charles's question there is, if you and Seth were athletic enough, there's there's a world. So I appreciate that, Charles. I think I'm rushing the passer. Here's where I'm at on the Olympic sports. I think the only one where I actually think I might be the best at it at KCSN is archery. I don't do it a lot. This isn't like a long-time hobby of mine, but every time I have shot a bow and arrow, it's gone pretty well. I feel reasonably decent at it. Maybe my eyesight is good and some hand-eye coordination. I don't know. I think I might win archery. I think I might medal at table tennis, decent at sand volleyball, very, very recreationally. Pickleball would be huge. I would definitely feel good about my chances in a KCSN pickleball tournament if that was an Olympic sport. I don't know if KCSN has any fencers. I feel like I played with lightsabers and swords a lot as a kid. Fencing, you want to go head to head? Let's do it.
Yeah, that could be fun. I think I've got an unbelievable advantage in at least one of these sports in curling. Like,
have you done it before?
I have been around it before, which
that's
is probably
still more of an advantage. Than
it's more. I think fencing was one that I thought, and this one might be. I might get some pushback from the more athletic fellas at KCSN. I would put myself, I'd have to, get myself back into game shape in badminton against basically anyone. I am terrific at badminton. I used to play tennis players.
That.
Yeah, I'm terrific at badminton. And the last one, which again, this is not a whatever thing. I just don't know what everyone's background is, what everyone's done. And it's not something I've done much of, but a lot of people haven't. I think boxing, I'd have a shot, knowing the guys I
didn't want to put boxing on there. It felt disrespectful. Well, didn't want to bring that to you either.
None of this is me saying that I could beat up any members of KCSN. I'm old. I'm washed. I'm weak. I'm sad. I'm out of shape. I'm thinking,
if you land a punch in the first round, there's a chance. Like
I used to be a little quicker than I am now.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. How many Olympians do you see that are 40? Maybe in curling.
I mean, yeah, I think we've kind of. I guess archery you probably keep doing for a while, and we're picking games that will age with us.
Yes, yeah, no, fencing and curling I think are my best shots.
I'll let you take a first. We got 2 more here, and then we'll. Honestly, it's timed out great. There are actually 2 more that I made it over to the Google Doc, and we're about out of showtime. You take the first crack at this one here, Seth, and then I can kind of clean up anything you leave left over. From Kenny, compare and contrast the Switch and Switch 2.
Is that like a dance?
Oh, don't worry about it. So here's what I'd say for now. So obviously right now it is a $500 Mario Kart machine, and that's a little bit of a tough pill to swallow. I have finally, and against all odds, I have made another attempt to start Tears of the Kingdom. I got the download for the Switch 2 version. It looks great. I just bounced straight off of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom both. I just didn't get very far into either of them. I will say I've spent some time revisiting Pokemon Violet. Scarlet Violet got an update with the Switch 2. Also really helps a lot of the issues that Scarlet Violet had when it came out on the Switch 1. Seth, I'm concerned you're not paying close enough attention to me unless you're taking notes on your phone of everything that I'm saying.
Right.
And so it did improve the Pokemon experience. It seems, and Mario Kart looks great. I would say, this isn't exactly about the Switch and Switch 2, but I will say that for Mario Kart World, which is the name of it, Mario Kart World, there's not a lot of guiding hand in the world itself. Lots to do. I've played a ton. I think I've raced every track at this point. I've played every mode. It's been a fun use of time. It would be hard for me to justify, like, hey, my kids want to Switch and want to play Mario Kart. Is it worth it right now? I'd say there's no There's no real rush. It's also not going to go on sale or anything. So I just decided I bought it when I had the opportunity to, and I've played a bunch of Mario Kart since then. But don't let the FOMO totally get to you right now. It's okay. They're going to restock at some point, and you've got a month before Donkey Kong Bonanza. Seth, are you looking forward to Donkey Kong Bonanza?
Yeah, I agree with you.
And then the final one here from Tyler, you're making your dream breakfast sandwich. Is it held together with croissant, biscuit, French toast, waffles, or pancakes?
Sandwich?
And if you say English muffin, I'm gonna end the show.
I'm not a monster, Josh. So it's sandwich.
Dream breakfast sandwich.
Dream breakfast
This
sandwich.
question is so hard.
I think the dream breakfast sandwich is more simple than people might think. And because of that, I mean, you obviously got egg, sausage, cheese, some red peppers in there, I think, just a little bit, not too many. I mean, just a little bit sprinkled in there.
I also go sausage instead of bacon for the most part, but I think that's something that I think we're on the same page.
Did I say sausage or did I say bacon?
You said sausage. I believe you said sausage.
Oh, yeah.
I'm with you. I don't know that the rest of the world's going to be. Listen.
See, I think bacon's great on its own. I don't think bacon complements other things as well as sausage, egg, and cheese is this incredible combination of flavor.
You know what happens? You know what happens about half the time you bite into a sandwich with strips of bacon in it? You rip it out!
Yeah.
It comes out with you!
Yeah. It's
the bacon. Bacon on a sandwich, I think, has to be great for it to be great. Sausage on a breakfast sandwich can be pretty good breakfast sausage, and the sandwich can still be great.
Yeah. I think I taking out pancakes. That's not it. Taking out French toast.
Form factor there is great. I'd like to try a French toast breakfast sandwich, but it's definitely not my dream one either. Those are also my first two eliminations.
Yeah. Although if it's like a French toast, like a flavored French toast, I think like a McGriddle.
Right.
Those are incredible. But
Special.
I think I really love like red and green peppers, like almost like an omelet type sandwich.
Okay. So hold on. You have kicked out French toast and pancakes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say I love waffles. Waffles are my preferred breakfast carbohydrate, probably. I prefer them over French toast and pancakes in their own way.
Wow.
But I don't think I'm putting it on my sandwich. I like a crispy waffle, maybe a thick one. That's going to be a tough bite. So waffles are out next, right?
Right. Yep.
We are, Seth, we've never been more aligned.
Well, so what do we got left here?
Biscuit and croissant.
Biscuit
I think
and
these
croissant.
are the two. You know what they have in common? Butter and carbs.
They do. I think a good croissant, it's got to be a good croissant. But a good croissant, I think I'm going with that. And here's why. Even a good biscuit, it's a little too thick. It's a little too much carb in that it takes away from the star of the sandwich, which is the sausage, egg, cheese, whatever little, other flavors you want in there.
Yeah.
And that's my same issue with a bagel. Because I see a few people asking.
That wasn't. Hey, no, I wasn't that. Send your mean comments to Tyler. I just read the question.
Yeah,
a bagel would also be extremely.
It just
good,
adds.
it's chewy.
Yeah, I like bagels on their own, and so a croissant on the other hand is a little lighter. You get the bread, and you get the but you also when you bite in, you get the bread flavor without the bread completely taking over each bite. So I'm going with the croissant, sausage, egg, and cheese with a little bit of diced up peppers, not like big ones, but like almost like made into in the sausage.
A little confetti.
Yeah, a little confetti
color.
Little confetti, green and red peppers. And honestly, I don't think I want anything else on that. I think all that well done is perfect.
I don't know if we've ever been more aligned.
Oh, that's scary.
I will say that there's a place here. One of them just closed. I think there's one more local location of Denver Biscuit Company, Atomic Cowboy. Not a sponsor. They were before for me, but not currently. Big fan. Denver Biscuit Company has these biscuit sandwiches that are genuinely like a foot tall. It's a huge biscuit on the bottom and like fried chicken and gravy and eggs and bacon and then another biscuit on top. That is one of my favorite things I've ever eaten. I love that, but I'm eating it with a fork. It's not really a sandwich. And when I think about getting like a biscuit breakfast sandwich from like a McDonald's or whatever, biscuit's usually smaller than I want it to be. It's like, well, this isn't biscuits and gravy. If I'm getting gravy with it, then the biscuit's back on the table. But I think that's a weakness in the biscuits argument for being the best bread for a breakfast sandwich. I think it might actually be croissant 1, bagel 2, biscuit 3.
Yeah, I could be sold that. I really could. That's the thing with biscuits.
Don't overlook a sourdough, but that's not as fancy as dream
where a
breakfast
biscuit
sandwich.
belongs. A biscuit belongs
in your mouth during a show
with some honey butter or with some chicken and gravy. Yeah. But it's not the best thing for a sandwich. So no, we really are frighteningly aligned on this, which here's the deal. This is what people need to know. If you and me are on the same page about a take, we're
Texas
just right.
Toast.
Yeah. Oh man, I do love Texas toast. That's actually one reason why I like replacing at times the Z-Man, the Keysor roll with Texas toast.
Oh, that's messed up for you to do. I hadn't thought about that.
Well, it's just a little too much bread.
That's a little too much Keysor.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Keysor.
It's so unfortunate. Kent has the exact right order at Joe's, and it's the burn-in Z-Man on toast.
You know, I haven't done the burnt-in Z-Man yet, but I bet it's incredible. I always just get a pound of. Well, you've seen what I do. I get the pound of the burnt ends too, and so if I really wanted to, I could just add to it. Here's a question for you, and I know we've gone over somehow.
Yeah, we're over an hour here
in June
17th.
So, all right, so. Waffles, French toast, pancakes.
I'm going to go waffles, crepes, pancakes, French toast.
Ooh, wow.
I like a crispy one, so I maybe give me a crispy French toast and I'll take it. Here's what I'd like to ask. If anyone watching or listening to this show is an owner operator of any sort of breakfast brunch food of any sort, BJ Kissel's personal phone number is available to you in my DMs. I'll give you his home address. I'll tell you where his kids go to school. I don't like whatever. You can have my home address. I just don't know. I don't know what else this show needs to do to convince
literally whatever it takes
that we will be the perfect spokespeople for your breakfast cause. Really.
Yeah. How many times do I need to eat on air before someone's like, hey, this could be a thing?
More than one, apparently.
Hey, Seth, what are you eating there? Well, I'm glad you asked, Josh. I'm eating a delicious breakfast sandwich from, Breakfast Sandwiches Are Us.
Exactly.
Like, is it delicious? Yes, it is delicious. It has sausage, egg, and cheese, and blah, 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 blah. And it's delicious. And I won't even be gross about it. I won't be sitting there next to them.
Unless that's what they want us to do, which we will.
Yeah. No. Oh, yeah. No. If that's what you want me to do, I'll do that. I'll take my shirt off and eat it. I don't care. I don't know why you want me to do that. But please don't ask me to do that. But I will if you ask.
Yeah, I'll do the show in a bathtub full of gravy. Sure. Yeah. I'll do it. I thought about it.
For that, there are some things that are worth going for. On a side note, the reason I asked is because, and I think I've said this on the show before, pancakes with peanut butter and maple syrup, and you need to be pretty heavy on the maple syrup because the peanut butter belong with pancakes. Talk about chewy.
Yeah.
That is one of the highest ceiling foods in the world.
It's true.
And then, it's a rough way to start your day because it's like, well, I need a nap. It's 9 a.m.
Yeah, it's not an energizing breakfast, particularly if it's high ceiling. It relates to your blood sugar as well, straight through the ceiling. Oh, you know what? Sugar-free maple syrup.
You just need to do they sell insulin in powder form? You could sprinkle it on top of the. Is that how that works?
Yeah, Seth, they do, and I choose to give it to myself with a needle instead. Yeah. I could be putting it in a shaker bottle, but instead I wear this pod with a needle in it.
What a weird choice.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you do that to yourself.
Speaking of weird choices, I wish I could end now. Seth, get us out of here.
The real thing about eating a sandwich shirtless is that.
Hey, never mind. Tucker, end me.
Man, I'm glad because I can't think of a lot of pros there.